I have to say, Gary's just done a lovely presentation. I'm about to present you with the polar opposite. You just have to use your imagination. Can I get a show of hands? Who here needs more clients? Great, okay, it might be useful then. The first thing I like to do is actually break this down into its core parts. So we've got where to find them, we've got what to say to them, and we've got how to say it to them. If you can nail these three things, you will have a working outreach system. So, first thing, where to find them. You've got a couple of different ways of doing it. You've got databases, which is readily available information out there that you can use. You've got enrichment tools for essentially going and scraping data, enriching that data and actually going and finding contact information for them. And you've also need to obviously adhere to a couple of requirements for GDPR, etc. So, first thing, databases. We've got Apollo, I'm sure a lot of you might have heard of those. We've got ALeads, which is our personal favourite at the moment and would definitely recommend it. We've also got Snovio, which has a database. Probably wouldn't recommend them quite so much. They're quite expensive, although the data is good. But you can use kind of any of these to actually go and get your audience.
The benefit with Snovio, admittedly Apollo and AWS both do this now, but Apollo is cracking for pulling URLs. So if you've got a tool that you can go onto LinkedIn and find your ideal clients, which funnily enough, they're all on LinkedIn normally, and you can find those people, filter them down with the built-in filters, you can take that whole list of URLs and throw it into Snovio and it will spit out their emails.
Mm-hmm. We got that on the next slide.
Right then.
But yeah, he's absolutely right, and we welcome that. So, the pros of databases is it's so easy. Like, you literally pay them money, you put in your search terms, and you can get thousands and thousands of leads for extremely good prices. I always recommend this to anybody starting out because it's such a low effort way of getting loads of leads. Like, the amount of leads you can get, you can keep going for months and you can pay a really small amount for them. So that's why we would recommend starting out to use something such as ALeads. The cons is lead quality. Now, they're not terrible, don't get me wrong. However, as opposed to like scraping them yourself and enriching them, other people have access to this as well. So they will have been contacted. However, I would say, in the grand scheme of things, absolutely use them. Okay.
I'm sure this is on the next slide, but Apollo, while it is the king of these databases, that is also its biggest drawback. Is every single person, if they're going to start doing this with very little knowledge, they go, oh yeah, let's use Apollo. So there's a lot of idiots that start there, so there's a lot of terrible stuff, and people get really quick to be able to pull out a cold email and go, and you're almost training people to avoid interfering with what you're looking at. So if you can find people that haven't been cold emailed 17 times today, they'll always do better than the people who have been. So that's the only drawback. Are you ready for that to be word for word on the next slide?
Enrichment. Okay, so we've got a couple of ways of doing this. The way that I like to look at it is different pieces of information in different orders have outcomes, and we can do some really, really cool stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think of. So the first thing is clay. Now, somebody said this earlier, it's great, but it's also extortionate. So I actually probably wouldn't recommend it, but it is out there. Clay is fantastic for finding 100% of your market. So if you've got a really, really niche market that's quite small or very hyper-specific, Clay can be great for that, but you will have to remortgage your house, as I think it was maybe Joe who said that earlier. So the alternative to doing that is actually Snovio, as Dan was saying, and we can do a couple of really, really cool things with that. So any domain, anywhere, we can run it through Snovio and go and find somebody's email. Now, obviously, if that person's never put their information online, a bit difficult. Like, we can't just make it up. However, if they have, Snovio will find it. And for a fraction of the cost of using a tool like Clay, you can get within 10% of the hit rate that Clay can get. So it does vary from obviously niche to niche and markets, etc. However, it's got an extremely high yield. So definitely something worth checking out. And this kind of comes into its own when you're doing some web scraping and using Amplify, etc., which we're going to run through in a minute. And it can be a really, really good way of getting some extremely fresh data. So that's that.
How we found Snovio was using Clay. With Clay, you can add on as many different checks as you want, and it'll only charge you for the ones that you use. We accidentally put Snove at the beginning and found that hardly any went past that stage and were ever found. And you were like, hold on a minute, why are we bothering paying Clay to check Snove for us, just tell us whether or not we can find them? So that's why we kind of stuck with Snove. Don't get me wrong, if you run them through enough things on Clay, you're pretty much guaranteed to find their email at some point. But Snove gave us like 90% of the data for 10% of the cost. So it was like, yes.
Have you tried drop contact?
Drop contact? I don't think we have.
Nope. No, personally not. There is so many platforms out there. We've tested 90% of the ones that are actually worth testing. We've always come back to Snovio. It's stupidly good for what they charge. And there's others that are out there competing, but they can't quite touch it. So it's always the one that we kind of recommend. Does that answer your question?
Where do you get the URLs to send to Snovio, or does Snovio have them built in?
It's on the next slide, Joe.
So there's a number of ways of actually doing that. What's your favourite way?
For URLs, probably an Amplify scraper. There's a lot you can do with just pulling those URLs, but really, fundamentally, we're targeting people that we found on LinkedIn because we know that they're then the business owners. You can filter that inside Snove. So if you were to take our company URL, put it into Snove and say, I want the owners or C-suite, it will come up with those. So there's filters inside that, but it depends who you're targeting, really.
So, we got someone asking there. Yep.
I've seen that you guys run some SMS campaigns in the past, and we've seen quite a bit of success in getting our first half a dozen clients through that. We seem to be hitting a point of we've been using lead rocks and enriching LinkedIn URLs.
Yeah.
Have you found a reliable, potentially more cost-effective source for getting mobile numbers, particularly those in the US, or
ANY really good for it.
Or
US, they do,
SignalHire.
yes. So, yeah, ANY or SignalHire, both very, very good for it. SignalHire does cost a little bit more than ANY, but the data's really good. So, yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
And are you able to scrape another company's users using Snovio? So, for example, one of the ones that I mentioned in my talk, there was one client. They used the Palladio software, the one I think I showed you.
Yeah.
Are you able to scrape every single user that uses that software?
You can do tech stack searching through it. I've never really got on with it that much. The data that comes from it, there's not that much of it, but it is possible with the platform. It's just not something we use every day.
Yeah, it's all about what data is publicly available as well. So if they've got a list of people that use it, then yeah. Even if it's a list of company names that use it, then you're in with a chance.
We had an agency guy help scrape users of that software.
Yeah.
Like actual users. But
there's like tools like built with and stuff like that you can identify what software a company's using, maybe like on their website if they're having a Shopify site, and then you can identify that it's a Shopify site and they're using a certain tool, and then maybe only a certain niche is using that tool, and that's quite cool.
what's it called?
Yeah.
So that's built with, and I've got another one, I'll figure it out for you at some point, but that I used that was cheaper and it did the same thing as built with. Cool.
Awesome. Coming back to what you said about where to get the domains from. Now, another thing it does is you don't actually have to do domains. You can just do it by company name. Now, if you can think of anywhere where somebody's got their company name, you can use that. You can scrape that information. So, Google Maps, for instance, you can type in, I don't know, accountants in London. It will come up with all of them. We can scrape all of those and run them through Snovio and have the contact information of accountants in London. Now, we're not just limited to that. We can do it wherever in the world. And
turn up to an NEC event and take a photo of their board of all of their stands and company names, upload to ChatGPT and ask for a list, and before you know it, you've got the owners of all of these people who paid thousands of pounds to have a stand somewhere, and then contact all of them saying, oh, it's lovely seeing you. They saw millions of people. They have no idea if they spoke to you or not. But you can still contact them, and it's a nice personalization level behind it as well.
yeah. Yeah, and it works. I mean, we've done work with loads of recruiters, and so job boards, etc. Actually going out and reaching out to the people posting the jobs. So we can go and like scrape Indeed for all of the company names who have posted for a certain job role, and then we can go and reach out to them and say, we know you're hiring for this because we've seen your job advert, and go and prospect them that way, if that makes sense. So yeah, you can be really, really creative with it, and that's more what I want to put across to you guys today, is for you guys to think, where does my market hang out? Where can I find those lists of information? And if you can actually find those, then using these tools, you can have some really, really great data to actually start with and go and reach out to these people.
Yeah, one of our PR clients that we started work with really early on, we joined every single group where it was like, become a public speaker, write your first book and stuff like that, which was all things he was helping people with. Joined groups on LinkedIn, scraped everyone in that group and then contacted them. And honestly, the responses was like, God had aligned this thing for them. And now this guy's messaging me saying that, oh, I know you want to write a book, I can help you with that. They're like, wait, what? This is mind blowing, this is ideal. And it was one of our highest converting campaigns, was just because you can be clever with the pool of people that you want to contact. It doesn't need to be a pool of business owners, it can be a pool of people who have got your problem. Like everyone in the I want to do public speaking is literally sat there with their hand up going, I've got this problem, and you're coming along and solving it for them. It's like it's meant to be.
Have you found one that does Facebook groups or not?
There's a couple. I'll send you some over. I can't remember off the top of my head.
There's loads on Amplify. For Amplify is like eBay for scrapers. Like pretty much anything that you want to scrape, you will, if it can be done, it will be on Amplify. It's definitely it's the one we use. I would recommend it. You will go and be able to find your scraper there. So, just coming back to obviously what you were saying about LinkedIn there. So, yes, we can also obviously scrape LinkedIn. We've essentially, using these tools, have turned LinkedIn into our own personal lead database, which is great. What we can also do though, as Dan was saying, is obviously go and reach out to groups and scrape those group members. So the analogy I use for this is, imagine I sell golf clubs, but specifically to CEOs. Well, yes, I can go and use a lead database and go and find CEOs, but who knows if they're interested in golf. However, if I scrape them from a CEO golf group on LinkedIn, I know they're a CEO and I know they're interested in golf. So when they say yes to my golf clubs, that's why. It's being hyper-targeted with the data. We're almost pre-verifying their interest in our product before we reach out to them. And as Dan says, that works fantastically. It's definitely something to think about. You can be really, really clever with this. Same goes for events. Events are arguably even better because they're current. Somebody could have joined a group 10 years ago. An event, that's in 2 weeks' time. Then all of those leads are going to be extremely fresh.
And also actually using LinkedIn.
Another good one as well. Awesome. So yeah, pros, fresh data, targeted. Cons, costs a little bit more, can do. Actually, to be fair, Synovio charges you the same as what they charge you for their database usage, so it's not that bad at all. But yeah, time, you will spend a bit more time, so there is that to factor in too. Next thing, valid emails. We only email real emails. So anywhere that you are pulling data from, you need to make sure that they are actual valid emails. So if I go and email some random email that doesn't exist, that is very, very bad for my email account, and it's going to hurt my domain reputation, which means I'm going to go into spam, which means nobody's going to buy my product, and I'm going to be very sad. So the next thing we've got to work out or make sure that we're aligned with is GDPR compliance. To be honest, all of these platforms are pretty much GDPR compliant anyway. As long as you're not getting your data from like a data leak or something stupid like that, you're going to be fine. And obviously the last thing is that they're corporate/work emails. They are by default anyway on all of these platforms. It's just because nobody can do it to personal without opt-in. They don't even bother. So yeah, just worth noting.
And then even with the database leaks, if somebody else has taken that data and put it on the internet, it's fair game. So a lot of it is just, the second it's in the public domain, these are business owners' contact information, you have the right to contact them. It's different if you're sending it to personal email accounts. And the deliverability is completely different again.
Cool. So in summary, you can use databases, or you can go and be clever with it and enrich your data But either way, you need work emails, and that's who you're going to be reaching out to. Does that make sense? Awesome. Next thing, we need to figure out what we're going to say to them. So we could have the best leads list in the world, and we can have the best sending infrastructure. However, if our offer's absolutely terrible, then nobody's going to be interested. So we might as well take a good amount of time to go through this and make sure that it's right, okay? So we're going to go through, obviously, the language in the copy and also what to avoid as well. So, subject lines, we'll start with that. A subject line is only there to get somebody onto the email, okay? I'll let everyone take their pictures. That is its only purpose, and you'll get a recurring theme here of this is just a chain of stimuli. It is nothing more than that. We are purely getting somebody from looking at one thing to looking at another, to looking at another, to being where we want them so that we can go and sell to them, i.e. get on a sales call with us. So the subject line, we don't want to put anything that's going to give them enough information to either say yes or no. If we go and put our offer in and our price, they can say either yes or no to that. We don't want them saying either yes or no or being able to make that decision before we've actually pitched to them and given them as much value as possible. So, like I say, you'll see a recurring theme with this. We're not actually really going to tell them anything. To find out more and to be able to make that decision, they're going to have to get on a sales call with us, which is where we're going to go in for the kill. So, subjects here, you can see they're all really about nothing. So they are literally just designed to get someone on that email. So there's some pretty stock standard examples here that do work. They're fairly safe. By all means, you can use these. They are proven. It creates that intrigue for them to move on to the email. Or you can be a little bit more creative as well. So you can be really random and do some really weird stuff as long as what you say is clarified within the email. So, I don't know, think of a good example of one of our crazy ones.
So we've got a client at the minute that does same-day courier services. And we've named all of his email accounts Liam Neeson. And all of them talk about his special set of skills with the same-day delivery. We've tested, you've got a parking ticket as the subject line, and it says, oh, no need, we've delivered it all for you anyway, you haven't got a parking ticket. And little things like that get people to click on the email. You've just got to be careful that you still give them enough of a reason to get on a call with you. You don't want to be saying, your VAT return's overdue. Oh, would you like to buy some lead gen? It just doesn't work. But if you can make it kind of flow through, there's a lot you can do, and you can be quite clever with it, and it gets people excited, and just kind of, you can really engage people. 9 times out of, the majority of this is the offer, but if you can do it in a creative way that it breaks the norms, you will always outperform the ones that are just like copy paste, the same. Because people can actually spot it from the layout, the same as we were talking about brands earlier. If you've seen 100 cold emails and all of them say quick question name, which used to be a killer subject line, but everyone's used it now and it doesn't work. People get used to seeing it and go, oh, I've opened that, it's a cold email. Oh, I've opened that, it's a cold email. The next one, they're not going to open. So if you can think outside of that box and do stuff that people aren't doing, you can normally contact your whole entire market twice before they clock on. And by that point, you'll have a load of leads.
Yep.
Are you guys using spin tags?
Yes. Ah, I need to put that in here. Thank you for reminding me.
That is not on the next slide.
Have we got another one?
Are you still using spin tags even with personalization?
Not in the personalization variables, and with full, obviously, AI written emails, no, there's no need, because every single one's personalized. But for main like body copy, even if it's the offer, we'll come on to the personalization at some point.
We're going to go through it.
Okay. So the personalization bit, we normally stagger at the top or somewhere in the message copy, but then we still have the offers pretty much the same regardless. So depending on how we lay it out, yes, we spin tax it, but with personalized stuff, it's pretty much, it's more personalized than spin tax would be.
Yeah. So that's subject lines and spin tax briefly. In terms of a framework, you can do it a lot of different ways. However, this has been proven to work. If you use this, it will work if you do it properly. Okay, so obviously the first thing is hi, whatever their name is. That's just a normal intro. Generalized compliment. Now you can do varying degrees of personalization with this. The aim is to essentially get off on the right foot, and it presents the opportunity to add that personalization in. So we can do it very simply in terms of using variables, i.e. their company name, where they might live, or not where they live, maybe where they work, and that kind of different, well, essentially that data that we have on them. However, taking that a step further, we can essentially use AI to enrich that information. Run through that.
So with the AI side of it, you can fill in as many fields as you want. So we've got tools that will write the whole entire email. So we've got a structure of this is our offer, this is our expertise, this is how we do it. And AI will go through, look at their LinkedIn, look at their website, look at their online presence, look at literally every data point we can find on the internet for them. Give that as a list to ChatGPT and say, this is everything they do, this is what we do. Like, merge it together somehow for us, and then it will spit out a completely personalized email that nobody else has had before, and it looks like you've sat and done your homework. When you were running this on 3.5, it was pretty okay, but with ChatGPT 5, it is mega and does some actually really good copy, and Perplexity is actually surprisingly good at this as well.
Dan, are you like literally uploading a spreadsheet with a bunch of like contact information
Yeah.
plus website and telling the prompting saying, write me an email like that, and it spits out. Let's say I've got 100 rows. Does it spit
It will spit it
100
out.
emails?
Yeah.
And then can it then? I'm sure you're going to tell me yes. Then it can go from that spreadsheet into an email, and you just press send. Yeah.
Yeah. So the variables like first name, we would do basically the whole email as a variable. So the whole thing gets like basically is one. The email itself is one variable that gets merged over.
So the spreadsheet's got, whatever, let's say first, last, LinkedIn,
Yep.
company email.
It could also have whatever data you scraped from Amplify, or the job board that their job listing's on, or their job title. Like, there's so many variables in there that you can also bring in. So yeah, you've got the normal, if you've just pulled it from Apollo, you've got the normal lines of data, which is normally hundreds of lines long anyway. Pick the variables that you want, merge that in. Where you normally have Perplexity do some research on the company and the individual, minimum. So you've got two heavy data points immediately, and then merge them together and give it out to ChatGPT to kind of personalize off the back of it.
Do you check them before they go out, or they speed
When you're sending 17,000 a day, you don't really have time.
So some of them may be wrong, and that's okay.
It's
a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. It's very rare it's wrong, and either way, what we're actually trying to do here is the reciprocity bias that we talked about earlier. It's the fact of like, you've sat and done your homework, and therefore have picked me as an individual, instead of it being like, you were number 4,200 on my cold email list for today, would you like some lead gen? You're more talking about, okay, I've seen you've done this, you've achieved that, you've been in the company for X amount of time. It just shows you've done your homework and you care. And then the least that they can do is reply to your email.
How do you scale that in terms of getting personalization for 17,000, 32,000 in a day? Does that not...
You just throw money at it.
Yep.
Are you doing that off the cloud? And I guess you use May, can't you?
May, NA10, we've got them built in both. One of the things to think about with this is it's all about the ROI. So if you can write some killer email copy and send it without any personalization, and it does as well, or even slightly worse than the personalized stuff, for your cost per booked meeting, it will probably still be less.
What would you say that split is for you in terms of...
We always do 50-50 to start with, and then pick the winning campaign. So it varies niche to niche, how good your offer is, like, yeah.
Thank you.
How many domains? I mean, what's the sort of the emails per domain?
Yep.
I mean, what's that kind of look
We've got 4,500.
different domains?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. We will cover that in terms of sending infrastructure and how you need to set that up to make sure it's safe. But short answer is as many domains as you want, and then 5 emails per domain max, essentially.
You know, for all of that personalization, getting those people in the first place, are you reaching out to them based on a previous project that you've done and hoping that something is sticking for them and then testing it, or how are you reaching out to them in the first place? Like, what's the rationale behind each targeted campaign?
Well, so AI does most of that for us. So a lot of that's like, this is what we're offering, whether it's a personalised product that we've built for somebody else. Like, let's say you're an estate agent and want a lettings manager. Obviously, we're going to be reaching out selling that, but we can reach out to say like, oh, why don't we show I've seen you've won estate agency of the month, and then you go into your pitch. So you're just adding that, basically a sweetener on the top of it to kind of personalise that. But your outreach copy fundamentally is the same.
Awesome. Just some parts about the framework. So yes, you can use AI to do the entire lot, or you can do it more simply and essentially obviously just change the variables, etc. It's up to you, and we like to take that on a case-by-case basis. So we will test the AI personalization against just doing it in the standard way, and if it can demonstrate a clear ROI and a reason to do it, if that makes sense, then we will run it. I would recommend that each and every one of you does that test to double check that you're not throwing money at ChatGPT. You can do varying levels of it as well. So yes, you can do the entire email. You can also just do the generalized compliment as well. It's up to you, and like I say, I would test one against the other, test a sample list of the ones that have been essentially enriched by AI against just your written generalized compliment, and you will get a really, really good feel for if it's going to be viable for you and your specific offer to your specific niche. Does that all sound okay? Awesome. So yeah, generalized compliment itself is essentially getting off on the right foot. The next part is the offer stated with conviction. Now you'll see I've put here, what do they have to gain from what you do? This is very, very different from what you do. People don't care about you. They don't care about what you do. They only care about what it is they gain from what you do. So you lead with that. So there is no point sitting there and talking about yourself or any secondary thing. It has to be that end result that you're going to get for them. The way we like to coin it, I suppose, is get as close to the money as you can. So if that thing is here, it's usually the thing they want is the money, and you come over here with what you're offering them. So a really, really good example is we're doing some work with a woman in the States who does social media for restaurants. When she wanted to set up her outreach, she was saying, I can get them this many views, I can get them this many impressions. And I said, this is all well and good, but it's this far away from the money. What we want to be talking about is seats, bookings. It's right next to the money. The people that she's reaching out to, there's a lot less dominoes to fall before they can see that what she is then offering is going to get them that result that they want. Seats and bookings at tables is what gets this person on holiday at the end of the year. So that's what we lead with, and that's absolutely what you need to be leading with. It's that end result. Does that make sense? Awesome. Next part, risk reversal. Really, really important. Somebody said about it, I think it was Misha actually, guarantee. If you can't offer a guarantee, you need to think about what you're doing. I mean, obviously, some industries might be very, very difficult to do it. There are varying degrees of risk reversal that you can do. You can do guarantee, you can do free trial. There are other things that you can do, obviously guarantee being one of the strongest. It's pretty much that thing which says, if you don't deliver on what you've promised, what do they get? What happens? And if you can show them that there's absolutely no risk here, they are much, much more likely to agree to what it is you're saying to them and essentially move onto that next stage of the process, which is getting on a call with you. You're almost pre-handling that objection of, oh, well, I don't believe you, I don't believe it'll work. If you can pre-handle that, they are much, much more likely to say yes. Okay? The next thing is the further conviction statement. This is really, really doubling down on what you are already saying. Now, you don't just want to go and say exactly the same thing as what you've put in the offer, but this is your chance to turn around and say, we can get you this, we've done it for X, Y, and Z, or we can also get We've also got the same result for this and this company. It's just that way of making them feel like, oh, okay, these people are serious. You want to make that as absolutely strong as possible and back your offer up as much as possible. So at the minute as it stands, we've got a really killer offer. We've got a risk reversal, which is a no-brainer. And we've also got a further conviction statement, which is bolstering the absolute rest of them up. The next thing is, where are we going to direct these people who are there, sat there, reading it, thinking yes? Well, we want to obviously go in with the CTA. Now, CTA being call to action, for those of you who don't know. What we obviously want is a call most of the time. Obviously, some people might, I don't know, want to direct them to a funnel for whatever reason, but generally speaking, we'd recommend a call. So when you do that, you want to make that as low friction as possible. You don't want to say, when have you got 2 hours free for me to absolutely grill you on a sales call that you're going to hate? People aren't going to want to say yes to that. We would rather go in there and say, look, have you got time free for a chat this week? I wouldn't even put a time frame on it, because people quantify that time, and then it almost becomes a commitment and a burden. If you remove that entirely, they are much more likely to say yes. Even if it's a 45-minute sales call, we don't need to tell them that. We just want that easy yes from them, essentially. So that's that. And then obviously sign your email off as you usually would with a signature, etc. And then, yeah, in terms of follow-up, so all of this is for the first email, okay? In terms of follow-ups, we send 4. We found that to be the best. We send them 2 days apart. We have tested sending more emails. We have tested sending them more quickly, more slowly. We've pretty much, we've tested it, and we have set on 2 days apart and 4 emails total. So first email, which is this, and then 3 follow-ups. Any more than this and it drops off, but you would be really, really surprised if we send an email, 4 emails to people. The replies to all of those emails are actually, we get the same amount of replies to the first one as we do to the second one, as we do to the third one, and as we do to the fourth one. So they're absolutely worth sending. We're getting more out of our leads list. When you move past that 4th one, it just drops off a cliff, so we don't bother. So that's what we would recommend. The first follow-up that we send is actually very, very simple. It is only just checking you got that and then their name. It doesn't have to be anything more than that, okay? We send all of these in the same chain, so they will see that and they will see your initial email attached. It works extremely well. We actually see a slightly higher response rate in the second email than we do the first, ever so slightly, which just goes to show how well it works. The third email that we send is pretty much along the same lines, however, with a little bit more body to it. I would go in with something along the lines of, look, I'm not sure if you're at the office, but I'd love to know your thoughts on this. It's still very much a follow-up. However, it's designed to bring them back to that first email. You can also add in something like another result, another thing that you can do, reiterate the guarantee, and just add that value in and use that email that you're sending to essentially do that. So that's the third one. The fourth one is there to make them feel absolutely insane that they never responded to you. So this one you want to go in with, look, I've said earlier, I can get you this, this and this. I can also get you this. Surely that's worth a call. You want them to think, oh my God, yeah, that probably is worth a call, and to respond to you. It's also your last chance to essentially get that message across to them. So you're almost better pivoting slightly on your offer. If we've said the same thing to them 4 times already and they've not responded, saying the same thing again probably isn't the best idea. If you can pitch it in a slightly different way, that can work really well. Does that all make sense? Awesome.
You keep the subjects in for all 4?
Yes, we do. We send them in the same chain, so it follows on from whatever the first subject is.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the change of deliverability, it's worth doing them all in one now.
Yeah.
Quick question. You tested link to a calendar so they can book a call when it's suitable for them, rather than I'll message you back free on Friday, you're back.
Links will fry your deliverability, essentially. Yeah, they're really bad. At the minute, you can't send any links, any images or anything like that. You will just go into spam. You can do that once they reply. So essentially, when somebody replies to you, it opens the floodgates. Like, I don't know, let's say me and you are emailing and I email you. you respond, let's say you're with Google, Google's going to look and go, okay, he wants to obviously chat, we'll open it up and let them send whatever they want. So that's when you do it. However, if you put it in their hands, they're less likely to do it. I would still actually just get a time off them as opposed to just firing the link off.
To say that as well, we have an AI that replies to pretty much all of our emails now. So with having setters for the SMS side, we give them a window in which to reply to the client and phone them and do it manually. If it's not done, AI takes over, because the speed to lead element's almost as important. And with those ones, we are pretty much always putting a link in to say, here you go, pick whenever you want.
Just a quick one on the subject lines. You mentioned those ones there might be a little bit played out at this point. Are there any recent ones that have worked well for you? And what would you sort of suggest around that, other than kind of the general hat of trying to be novel and not say you've got parking notice?
Good question. A lot of it's just like that variable personalization. So talking about one that works quite well is their company name dash company name. Don't know why it works, but I think it's just enough intrigue for them to be like, oh, what is this email about? That one's worked quite well. We have tried other versions of a quick question. So like, I've got a question, just like, or one that worked quite well was just sending a question mark.
So one that works quite well, you're saying, is variable company name dash automation names.
Yeah.
One that works for me, because I scrape data from sales nav and I can see if they posted on LinkedIn, is like the intent. So I say I can click a toggle on sales nav, it says they posted in the last 30 days. I can then scrape that data, so I literally know they're actively posting. So I can say in the subject, RE, your LinkedIn post name. And they know they posted, because they're like, how does he know, like, has he gone through there for, like, hey, I've noticed you've been posting on LinkedIn, also noticed you don't have a funnel, bloody, yada, yada. But like, using the intent as a subject line can really help. Like, if it's about an event, you've scraped an event, RE, event name.
Yeah.
Like, something that will, yeah. It was so funny with the quick question stuff, it worked. I was getting like 75% over.
It was a killer, yeah.
And yeah, so there's nothing. Obviously you don't track the open rates now because of you guys, but yeah, it's crazy.
Does that answer your question? Any more?
I was just wondering what the mechanism was for personalisation and outreach. Like, are you orchestrating it all from instantly? Like, when you're looking up people's information, have you got like an automation that then just goes through your whole list for you, and then does the personalisation? Then you go to instantly. Then, like, how does it all work?
So it's done before they go into instantly.
Yeah.
So what it essentially does is, you can imagine you've got like name, company name, last name. It will just add it as a yeah, exactly.
Right.
But it will be whether it's the full email or whether it's just that personalised first line. It will have it, and then you will use that personalisation and use that, map that column in from Excel or the CSV, and then use that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Are you doing that bit manually, like uploading it into instantly and then working from there, or does the automation do that bit?
With the heavy personalisation at the minute, we've got a tool that we put in who we want to target this week. It will pull all of the leads, put them into a spreadsheet, and then it will move them out of that spreadsheet, personalise them, and move them straight into instantly. And then delete them out 3 weeks later, and we just go again and again and again. It's like an endless top-up cycle with personalisation in there. So. This AI thing, I don't understand.
Cool. I'm going to move on if everyone's ready. Yeah. Okay. What to avoid? Spammy language. Okay. So the best thing to avoid this is to use a spam keyword checker. There's various ones out there, Mail Meteor, etc. Email service providers don't like it when you say the words like free or buy now and capitals and all of those kind of things, because it just categorises them as spam. And the last thing we want to be having done is being categorised as spam. So we avoid that completely by running them through a checker. It will check, look, does any of this look like a spam email? It actually uses AI to do it. And then obviously we'll go through and take out and adjust anything. And it's just one more way to make sure that you're actually getting in the inbox. The next thing is obviously weak offers. If you haven't got a great offer, there's no point doing anything. So you might as well just focus on that, getting that right before starting doing this. If you've got a weak offer, people aren't going to be interested at all. It is absolutely imperative that you essentially make your offer as strong as humanly possible. Lack of risk reversal, kind of as I said before, if you can't guarantee or in some way guarantee the work that you're doing and delivering and can't show that to them, then I feel like you need to have a look at what you're offering. If lacking a risk reversal is going to hurt your outreach massively, having a risk reversal is going to help it massively. So definitely, I wouldn't say it's absolutely pointless to do it without a risk reversal, but you will see much, much better results from it.
You can also be clever with the risk reversal, like Misha's ones will work with you till your thing that you paid for works. Like if you boil that down, you're like, I bloody hope so. But the fact that that guarantee's there is just that reassurance of like, look, I'm going to do a good job. And you've got the money back afterwards if not. The aim is to never get people to that point, but if you close an extra 20% because you've been able to win this extra business because people trust you, and 10% of them want their money back, you still actually net more. So it's just about how you think about the risk as you go through it. It's something that we speak to business owners on a weekly basis, and this is always a sticking point for them. It's like, oh, well, I don't want to. It's like, think about the bigger picture of it, because quite often you'll still make a bigger ROI, even if you have a percentage of customers that are going to ask for their money back.
Can I ask what a strong offer looks like outside of the lead gen offer?
Oh, good question. What have we got?
End result. It is literally, it's that thing that they want. That's what you can give them context on what you do and perhaps the method, but you want it to be less about what you do and more about what they gain. That's, in terms of emailing, is way, way more effective. Does that make sense?
It's like outcome in time without thing you hate.
Yeah, okay,
Like,
so hours saved.
Yes, hours saved,
Yeah.
money saved. I mean, one of the things that people skip over quite a lot with the automation agency space, if you help implement AI into people's businesses, it saves them time. Realistically, 9 times out of 10, it makes them more money. If you spend enough time in that company and automate enough of it, there is actually a company valuation lift because you're providing assets that are future-proof than everything else. You've got staff retention, which will be higher because they're doing less boring copy-paste jobs. You've got so many wins that it's hard to actually sit and identify those with them. So if there's a lot to play with in this space. We guarantee we'll make you more money. We guarantee we'll save your time. We guarantee an ROI. Like, these are all things that quite easily you can do. And it might be the case that you go in and say, I can automate 40% of your business. You're not saying you're going to do that in one automation. You're saying you can.
Okay. And my final question would be, guarantee is one of those spam words. So we've got a money back guarantee, client satisfaction. They're not satisfied, they can have their money back. How do you work around? You can't use the word pay, you can't use the word free, you can't use the word guarantee. Are there words that you found work well?
Promise, I think.
Promise can still be flagged. Yeah, it is a bit of a sticky one. You can essentially word it so that you're not flagging any of those. If we don't deliver, then you'll get all of your money back plus £1,000. Like, that's pretty much does it. I mean, the £1,000 might flag up, but then again, it's worth it. Yeah.
Is this applicable only to cold email, or can you do this for automated like LinkedIn scraper?
Well, so the actual
copy aspect you can use wherever.
Yeah. This offer, the foundation of the offer, like I said earlier, you can put it on a billboard and it'll work if you've got a good offer. It's just knowing how you're going to structure that in a way. The benefit of LinkedIn, which is a killer tool, is you don't need to worry about any of this. If you've got spammy words in there, go for it. If you want to send a link, go for it. If you want to send a video, go for it. Like, the sky's the limit with some of these. I mean, there's tools out there that you can send people personalized memes with their company logo on it and stuff like that. You can be really clever with it on LinkedIn. You've just got to get around the fact that the same kind of infrastructure that we're using to contact people are using to get people to click on dodgy links so they can steal all your personal information. Like, we don't want to end up in that camp. We want to end up in the getting leads camp.
On LinkedIn, I would be aware of sending links specifically to other ones, videos, you can do that. links specifically can get you banned in like 3 days of sending links. I've seen like more than 10 accounts just after we started a same copy, added a link at the end. We lost 10
Interesting. What link was it for? Their website or something?
Yeah, it was just a call to action.
Interesting.
Just my experience.
Oh, there you go.
I would always like never send a link in the message, and you like get the reply for the link anyway. It's
Yeah,
like let me know if this would be of interest, or let me know if you want to hear some more.
Yeah.
And then that's when the link comes.
How much are you using this kind of stuff in recapture? Because we don't do outreach and we're SaaS, but we have several hundred leads coming in a day that, at least over 100 aren't going through and buying product, but they've watched maybe an hour's worth of a webinar, and we have a lot of information from them that at the moment they're just falling through the funnel. But presumably this is something that, do you guys do anything like that in terms of like if someone books in but doesn't show, do you use any of this kind of stuff for that part of the funnel as well?
This is mainly, and how it's structured is for cold and like reaching out to new people. You're looking probably more newsletter style. But yeah, if somebody doesn't show up to one of our calls, they will get bombarded. I think they even get text now to just be like, hi, really sorry you were busy. Are you still interested? Have you still got this problem? There's a lot you can actually do on kind of like reactivating leads, which were probably really good leads anyway that have just dropped off the face of the planet. But a lot of that data you can really make the most of. If you're collecting people's mobile numbers, an SMS reactivation campaign would crush. Awesome.
Cool. Next thing, talking about yourself. As I said, nobody cares about you. In the nicest possible way. Going in there and saying, I'm so-and-so from this company and we make this and we do, like people that honestly, they really don't care. Like you have to go in with that stark result that you're going to get them. And talking about yourself, it's using up valuable space. People have very, very short attention spans, and you have a limited amount of space and time whilst they're reading this email, and you want to make every single part of that count, which is why we have this framework in place. The offer, the risk reversal, and the further conviction statement, they're so strong, they all serve a purpose, they're all there to do a job. The minute you start packing it out with rubbish is when it's going to fail, because if it's not there for a reason, get rid of it. And obviously talking about yourself, I mean, it can help from a result perspective, but they don't care that you're based in Stowe or anything like that. So just try and avoid it.
9 times out of 10, after you've written your email copy, read back through and delete the bits that don't add value. Yeah. Because a lot of the emails have a lot of fluff around them. And first off, the spam checkers are now focused on the length of the messages as well. They're also focused on kind of how often people just throw it in the bin, and if they get halfway through it and go, God, this guy loves himself, he's gone. Like, it's not a positive sign to the email accounts that your email should be in people's inboxes. Yeah. So, Do you
think that's a laser button, or am I being risky?
It all goes black.
Yes, it is.
Excellent.
Right, the last one.
I'll start chasing.
We don't want them to feel like a corporate entity has emailed them. The purpose of this is it's from you to them. It's from a person to a person. It's got to be personable. We don't want it to seem like a newsletter where they feel like a company's reached out to them. The basis of this is you've got this amazing product. You've come across this person and you know this product is going to be absolutely fantastic for them. So you've just felt the need to reach out to them and let them know of that and how that can kind of look for them. That's the basis of it. And the minute you start saying like, oh, Automation X has done this and done this, like it just makes it that little less personal. And
it's probably different if you're emailing from Apple and people are like, oh yeah, I know your brand, but I'm not sure any of us are in the situation where like your brand is that well recognized that an email from that brand is enough to make you stop and be like, oh, I need to read this. Like, people don't care, people don't know who you are, people do care about how you can help them. And if you've got this problem, which you should have been able to identify by this point, and you've got the solution to that, people are more than happy to talk to you about it.
Just a quick question on this. So all of this relates to having an ICP that you can reach out to. So this won't work for custom builds where you're sending everything to everybody.
it's that end result. As long as you can pinpoint what the end result is, it doesn't matter how you're going to do it. If you can save 100,000 companies time, regardless of which product you're going to build to do that, yes, the outreach is still relevant and is still almost tailored to them.
Or if you can help them monetize their audience by building them a SaaS, that is still a solution to a problem.
So in this case, say I'm working with influencers, I could say to them, oh, I'll help you build a software product for your 1,000 community person.
Yeah, and help you monetize your audience through SaaS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, where would this sit in terms of your best-selling packages?
Good question. It's one that we're pushing more now. It's an easier sell than, like, for example, our accountancy bundle. Not particularly sexy, but it's one that we're pushing more and more. So it probably will be our best seller bundle for sure in the next couple of months. Overall, we probably still make more from our custom stuff, if not definitely, than all of our bundles put together. So it depends which kind of way you want to go about it, really.
Any more questions?
Yeah. So would you run multiple different offers at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You can do as many as you want.
So say if I was running one for every single compliance company in the States, or every single community owner in the States, or every single home improvement business in Ireland.
The only thing to think about when you're doing it like that is a lot of this is testing, which I'm sure we're going to come on to. Is A/B testing what you're doing. And if you're sending 74 different offers to 74 different niches to offer 74 different things, that data gets really messy really quickly. You'd actually be better to spend 3 weeks just targeting X, Y, and Z. And then after that, pick another niche and try again. You need to stack that data, and if you're just coming in and trying something new for the day, you're never going to get enough data to be able to work out, is this actually working? Awesome.
Cool. Okay, the next thing is how to actually say it to them. So we need to figure out how we've got what we want to say, we've got the people that we want to say it to. Now we've got to figure out how we're actually going to say it to them. So obviously you've probably got the hint by now, we're going to email them. So we essentially need to set up our infrastructure for sending. So if you go and buy an email account and think, great, I'm going to go and email 1,000 people today, it's not going to work, okay? You are going to get flagged immediately, you're going to go into spam, and you're never going to be able to send from that domain again. So we have to be quite clever with it. And the way that we do this, just coming back to what I was saying earlier, we essentially spread the load through multiple different email accounts and domains. So the way you scale this is you buy more and more and more domains. Okay, so if you want to send 1 million emails, I won't do the maths, but you need to buy a lot of a lot of domains and a lot of emails. So it's scalable kind of up and down as you choose. If you only want to send 100 a day, you can do that. If you want to send, like I say, 1 million, you can also do that as well. When you are buying these, you've got a few different options. We'll kind of go on to that. But as I was saying, you need to be buying 5 email accounts per domain. That's pretty much the golden number. Any more is getting a bit risky. Any less, you're kind of leaving a bit on the table. So if you're going to do it, that's the numbers you want.
The health is all domain related as well. So if an email is going to spam, it is the domain that causes a problem, not the individual account. So the reason you go for 5, not 25, is because if one goes down, you've lost 25 email accounts. So by spreading that load, they're tracking the number of emails sent per domain, not necessarily per person. So a lot of it's to do with that being flagged, and that's what they're tracking. So if you overload a domain, there's more chance you're going to burn it, and then you're going to lose a bigger proportion of your sending power.
Yeah, absolutely right. So the other thing we need to think about is what tool we're actually going to use to send these emails. So, I mean, unless you want to be completely insane and sit and write and send them all yourself, then by all means you can do that. My guess is you probably don't want to, so you're going to want to implement some level of software to do that. We'll run through that in a minute. We've also got a deliverability checklist that we need to follow as well, to essentially make sure that we're actually landing in the inbox. There's a few different things that we need to do to make sure that that happens. So the actual sending infrastructure itself. So you can go ahead and buy Google and Microsoft email accounts. They do work well, however they are very expensive. I think Microsoft charges around £7 an inbox, about right, isn't it?
Yep.
Google's around 5. You can get them a little bit cheaper. Realistically, you do well to go and get SMTP email boxes from providers such as Zapmail. You can also do MailReef, MailDo. So there's loads of them out there. They all, generally speaking, have a very, very similar setup and charge around the same. So as long as you buy through something that's dedicated for that, then you will be okay. The requirements, obviously you need multiple domains. As we said, you need 5 email accounts per domain. You need your DMARC, SPF and DKIM records sorted. If you buy from any, essentially any provider that is worth their salt, they will do that automatically. However, it is very important that they do, so double check. The next thing is domain forwarding as well. So as I was saying to you all, we don't put anything in the emails which is going to make us go into spam. So we don't put any links in there or anything, which means you're not going to be able to put your website link in there. So the only thing that they're going to see of you in terms of web presence is that email itself. Now, that's going to be very, very similar to your main domain. So we might have Automation X ads or something like that. At a glance, it's the same, but when you actually look, it's different. What we have is it forwarding on to our actual domain. So when somebody searches that up, they can see, it takes us to the actual website, but we've not had to put a link in there. And it just means, it just adds that little bit of trust. They can actually find us somewhere. We're not this random email from, someone that they can't find anywhere.
You can be clever with that as well. So that can be the link to your free lead magnet Joe's just left. And it could be a link to a VSL page. Ideally, in an ideal world, you still want them to have the ability to click back onto your main website to do some homework, but you can be really clever about making sure they've had that extra touch point and watch a VSL or whatever it is. If they're interested enough, they will look at your URL, go on your website, and probably actually watch it because they're interested. So you've got this actual opportunity to sell people on the back of them Googling you.
Yeah, exactly. The next thing is you can't just go and buy a load of emails and start sending from them, because the sending providers will essentially go, okay, all of these new emails have just started emailing 30 people a day out of nowhere, and now
and 5 of them have reported it as spam.
Yeah.
This is weird.
We don't like them. We're not going to let them through. What you need to do first is build a good reputation with the email providers that you're going to be sending to, i.e. Microsoft, Google, Yahoo, all of those. The way we do that is we don't sit there typing it all out and making them email back and forth. We use what's called email warm-up, which is essentially we use a tool to get AI to essentially put our emails in a pool of thousands upon thousands of other emails all doing exactly the same thing, and they email back and forth, and that then ups that. It's all AI, it's not us. But to the sending providers, they think, okay, these guys have been emailing back and forth. And what we want to do is mimic human behavior, because at the end of the day, that's who should be using these emails. So we want the likes of Microsoft and Google to think that these are humans' emails. We actually always keep the warm-up on. So in terms of when we start, we don't do any cold outreach for 2 weeks. Very important date, 2 weeks. After that, when we do start doing cold outreach, we still keep the warm-up on, and we always keep the warm-up in a slightly higher ratio to our cold outreach, so that we always stay in favour with the sending providers, okay?
The other thing with that is the warm-up pool is a big variable factor to that. Mm-hmm. So in an ideal world, you're sending to 3 different email accounts. Microsoft and Google own 85% of the market.
Yeah.
However, from a cold email point of view, it's probably 50-50 whether it's Microsoft or Google or an SMTP. So your warm-up pools often exist of about 50-50. So your warm-up is actually probably more going to SMTP, and trust me, they don't care. But Microsoft and Google do. So your actual sending percentage to Google and Microsoft as a warm-up is lower than your cold. So you've got to just factor that in as you go through.
Yeah. The other thing that you can do is domain monitoring and cycling. So we've got automations that do this. There are providers out there that do this. What you can do is essentially have the analytics for each account monitored. If they fall below a certain threshold, then they get pulled from circulation and are given extra warm-up. What that then does is it maintains that trust and also that domain health, and it's a really, really useful tool. If you're looking to do this, I would look into some of the providers that can do it. A lot of the email providers themselves, whether it's Maildoso, Mailreef, etc., can actually do that. So yeah, definitely worth looking at.
The other thing to note is when you're going through and looking at your instantly and MailScout and SmartLead, if you look at your deliverability on there, they'll be like, oh, 99%. If it's 99%, that means they're dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Instantly has this idea that like your deliverability is amazing. If you actually look at it from any other provider, they're not. So with the pulling the leads out and warming them up, you want to literally do that the second they start to drop even at 1%, because it's normally fairly late at that point. And by rewarming them up, we mean pulling them out of the sending pool. So they're not sending any cold, they're just sending warm, and then they'll get warmed back up again, and then you put them back in and just cycle them through.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah,
go on.
You mentioned things like Mailreef there. Is that the one that you would recommend for?
Mailreef's good, Maildoso. We're actually testing every single one on the market at the minute, so we'll let you know in about 2 weeks' time. We're testing them as well, so we'll see how they do.
That's what I have.
Yeah, I've mixed things with MailScale, but yeah, we're testing the whole market, so we'll let you all know in 2 weeks.
What does this look like with your clients? So you're offer 50 guaranteed book calls in 30 days, but 2 weeks of warm-up. Surely, does that 30 days only start counting 2 weeks in or 3 weeks in, or how does that actually look?
So the 2 weeks is actually a sweet spot because it gives us 2 weeks to get all of the automations built and have them have a run through of the system. So it's like, look, none of this can go live for 2 weeks. We're going to show you everything you need to know so that when it goes live, it's ready. And actually, by the time they've written their copy and found it about, it's normally week 3 anyway, so your emails are ready to go. But yeah, that's kind of how on the lead gen side we do it.
Yeah.
And you get your clients to write the copy, you don't write it for them.
Yep.
Yeah, they live and breathe their market.
Yep.
Like, if we're going to write it for them, we're almost imposters in that way. We want somebody who lives in that world, speaks the language naturally, to go and write that because they're automatically going to resonate better. However, we teach them the foundations of what that copy needs to look like. So it's almost a joint effort in that way.
Do you have difficulties delivering for many industry/clients? Because of course, if you're handing it over to them and effectively coaching them on how to do it, surely that increases the variability of results quite a bit as well.
It's an automated system, so the actual sending part of it, the only real variable is the copy and the contacts, which we obviously advise based on where we're getting the leads from. Yeah. So realistically, it's pretty much the same inputs and outputs. The only variable is copy, and that changes industry to industry anyway. So as long as they've got a good offer and we spend time with them on that, they're pretty much guaranteed success with it.
Cool. Sending tools. We've pretty much gone over this. Instantly or SmartLead. I wouldn't even bother looking at any others. Instantly and SmartLead are pretty much the same. We use Instantly, it's our favourite. We actually use SmartLead for their warm-up. Realistically, if you're going to start this and get this going, I would just pick either one of the two. Get your campaigns set up on there. They're pretty self-explanatory. They're easy softwares to use. They're made for anybody to set it up. And you also sign up to their warm-up as well. So what I was saying about obviously putting the emails on for 2 weeks, the warm-up pools are very good. It only becomes a bigger issue if you've essentially got thousands of email accounts, because then the warm-up pool is smaller, if that makes sense. So, but for most intents and purposes, you're absolutely fine using one of these platforms plus their warm-up pool. Okay, so deliverability checklist. Obviously, we don't want to send any images, links, or attachments. That is terrible for deliverability. You're just going to go into the spam folder. No spam keywords, as we were saying. There's a couple of examples. You want to make it that personal tone, i.e. not the company going and emailing them. And we also, this is something that a lot of people don't know. If you're ever talking to anybody about email and they think they know what they're doing and they say, oh, our open rate's this, alarm bells should start going off for you, because you should never ever track your open rate. And I don't know why so many people do it, but essentially it embeds a pixel, which the sending tools think, or the sending providers think that's an image. It doesn't matter if it's 1 pixel or 1,000, it still categorizes it in the same way. Also, with the advent of AI going through the emails, etc., on the sending provider's side, the spam filters actually use AI to go and read the emails, etc. That's classed as a click, as an open, which means even if you were to track it, you're going to get an inflated, incorrect rate anyway.
Drastically inflated rate.
Yeah, literally. So don't do that. The next thing is speed to lead. You need to get onto these replies straight away. Don't expect this to work if you're getting back to people a week later. It just won't. You want to be on people in minutes. Otherwise, what's the point? There's no point letting them sit there rotting away. You might as well, if you're spending the money and you've put the effort in to set this up, then you need to be on it and getting back to these people. The second sort of part to that is also the follow-up. You would be amazed at the people you can honestly bring back from the dead. Somebody can respond yes to you and then not respond, literally drop off the face of the earth for the next 10 emails you send them, and then respond to your 10th email, turn into a book meeting, and then turn into a sale. We've seen it before multiple times, and it is absolutely imperative that you follow up with these people. You can't just expect them to, sometimes they do, but you can't expect them to just book themselves in. You have to work these people. You want to up that conversion rate as much as possible, and keeping on top of these people, getting back to them quickly, and getting them booked in is the way to do it.
We send a minimum of 8 follow-ups from a yes. So if somebody has stated any interest, we will send a minimum of 8. 8 in a row with no response, no engagement or anything back from them as a minimum.
Yeah.
Is that automated as well, I take it?
So in terms, we got another question?
How do you automate that instantly?
What, the responding?
Well, when they reply, or 3 times, is there...
You track when they've responded and then set it to follow up every X number of days. So it's just a log of when they emailed and then follow up every 2 days or so. Just updating a column in a cell.
Yeah. Is that a subsequence?
No, well, we do it all, because we've got AI writing the follow-ups, we do it all through Make, so that we've got a constant log of sometimes, honestly, about 300 people that we're following up with. And we're just basically going, is it today's date? Yes. Write a personalised email, send that personalised email to them, just chasing them, basically. And it will just do that 8 times and then delete itself.
Cool. So that pretty much covers the next point, to be honest, which is automation and AI. There's a couple of places you can implement it. One that's really good is what we were just talking about with the responders. That can kind of solve your speed to lead issue entirely. So if that's something, that's definitely something that I would recommend doing. And if you want that, we can hook you up.
I know a guy.
So there's that. The next thing is you could do a few different tricks when it comes to this. Okay, so something that we've been testing at the minute that's working really well, and I don't think many other people have thought of this, is essentially using subsequences to, trick the email providers. So remember
it's a spam-related solution.
It is a spam-related solution. So remember what I said to you about once somebody responds, that we can send them pretty much anything we want. If we send them an email where they're likely to respond either yes or no, regardless of whether that response is positive or it's yes or it's maybe or whatever, that will still open the floodgates. So we've actually been testing sending really short questions to people about something completely unrelated, and then pitching them when they respond yes, no, maybe, or anything. But what we can do then is we can send them videos, and we can send them signatures with pictures in of us and all sorts of different things, which I know contradicts absolutely everything I've just told you. But if you do this now, you will see really good results, because a lot of people in the cold email game have cottoned on to the fact that you can't send any links or anything like that. So the minute you do it and actually land in their inbox, that is going to act like a pattern interrupt in itself. They're going to look at that and go, oh, hang on, this person's actually got through, and doesn't look like all of the other cold emails I'm receiving.
Yeah, it's a
it
proper
works
email.
really well. So, I mean, one of the examples is we literally ask them if it's the right email to contact them on, and they and then they turn around and they're like, yeah, it is, and you go, oh, great, well, I just wanted to ask, and then pitch them.
And you can
send a personalized video.
You can do whatever you want because you've literally just opened the you've opened the floodgates. So yeah, it's a really, really interesting one, and definitely something we've been testing and seeing a lot of success with. So there's no point us gatekeeping that. You guys can have it. The other thing I want to talk about is testing. So we did briefly touch on it, but A/B testing. Don't just make one variant a copy and run it for 6 months and expect it to always work. There is an element of evolution to this. Any new ideas, all of the sending platforms that you're going to be using will have this software inbuilt. Like, you can quite easily set it up. But I just want to talk about the principle, which is if you've got an idea, test it alongside what you're currently doing. You don't just turn off what you're already doing it. Do an A/B test, that's what it's called. Whichever one performs, then you keep that running and you turn the next one off. That's what you want to be doing, and essentially it's treating it like evolution, really. And the more and more of that you do, the better, because essentially your copy will evolve, which is good to avoid it going stagnant anyway. So definitely something we'd recommend doing. Test everything. So that's that.
We start off for a bit of context for an A/B test. If we're launching a new campaign for a new client or even for ourselves, we will do 2 polar opposite pitches from completely different angles and see which one gets the best reply rate. We will then take the best performing one, tweak it slightly with another version. Like, we might just change the CTA on this one. Okay, this one's done better. Okay, now we'll change the main body of it. And you're constantly testing to see what is the best performing version of it. It gets more complicated when you've got spin tax, so you actually want to change like big variables. Like where in the flow is your CTA? What is your main offer? How are you doing it with personalization or not? And with those bigger chunks, you can notice bigger trends. And very quickly you can work out, oh, well, this CTA is performing better. Let's put it with this body copy that was performing better. And then all of a sudden you end up with like this ideal email copy, and you just keep going and keep going and keep going to the point where you're like changing how your signature's laid out to see if that makes any difference. Now, that's the level that we go to with pretty much all of ours.
Yeah. Speaking of spin tax, I forgot to put it on here. So we can't learn about that today. So no, I will run you through it so you know what it is. So what spin tax is, or in fact, let's talk about the problem.
You can do old school.
Oh, I could, couldn't I? Oh god, that could get messy. What spin tax does, or the problem that it tackles, is if we go, as I said earlier, we want to replicate human behaviour. The last thing any human does is go and send the same email to 30 people every single day for eternity. So you don't want to be doing that, because that's going to flag to the email providers. So what spin tax does is it lets you create different, imagine like a combination log. Imagine if you've got one reel of numbers, you can have, 9 different combinations, okay? If you've got 4 different reels, you can have thousands of combinations. It does the same thing with every sentence. It creates 3 variants of each sentence, and essentially they all make sense in whatever order you put them in, which means you send a different email, slightly different email every single time. Absolutely do it. There's tools to do it. I'm sure we can get that over to everybody.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is proven to work and massively help your domain reputation. I knew it was too small writing.
And this is what spin tax looks like.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, pretty much, if you follow all of these points and do this...
It's dead simple. Just follow these 25 bullet points and you'll be okay.
No, but honestly though, this is pretty much a summary of everything we've spoken about today. If you do all of these, you will be getting clients in the door within 2 weeks once your emails are warm, okay? There is no here or there about it. This is what you need to do, plus spin tax. But other than that, you will be able to have a working outreach campaign. Any questions?
domains, okay, like you
Yeah.
can buy domains. What do they look like compared to your main domains?
So they've just
Or one at the
they've
end?
just very similar is the answer. They will have essentially words on the end, like it could be ads or it could be solutions. It might have a letter in here, there. You might have a dash in there or something like that. We always use .com or .co.uk. We don't do random like we don't even use .ai, to be honest.
The deliverability is just not as good.
Yeah, agreed.
And then when do you, like you said that sometimes they don't become warm, etc., etc. When do you drop them? When do you let go of that domain?
Pretty much all of them can be brought back with a decent warm-up sequence. So if you take them off for long enough and leave them to warm, you can pretty much fix all of them. If you end up on blacklist, it's a different story, and then they just need to go. But we very, very rarely renew one when it comes to like a year's cycle. So we'll basically just be like, okay, on to the next one, on to the next one.
So it is better to just, at some point,
cycle them out a little bit, yeah. Just keep a log of it, because before you know it, you'll be buying the same one back. But.
Yeah. Yes.
Instead of buying 10, 15 domains, could you not create subdomains that are essentially the same thing?
No, it's linked. So even with a subdomain, it is still linked and can affect the main one. So we advise against that.
Will the PowerPoints be able to be downloaded?
Yeah, I'll send you all it if you want.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Whoever wants it, then I'll happily. Yeah. That's absolutely fine.
How do we do this as a funnel, Joe? Come on.
Yeah, we say if you want the 7-step checklist, put your name, email, social security number, postcode, and you'll get
banking
20
details
emails
and
and they're not even going to be real. It's just going to be bait trapping you to replying yes, so that we can send you videos of CCTV cameras in. Sorry, I won't. Yeah, you can package this into a little landing page that says.
Excellent.
Gets everyone's details.
Everyone ask Joe for the info. Yeah, we can send it all over, that's fine.
Awesome. Anybody else? I think we got a round table to do.
Yes. Is everyone's brains melting yet?
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. So one last thing.
In fact, I want to ask a question.
Go on.
After seeing that, does anybody feel like they're going to go home and implement that?
They don't want to line up and ask you to do it.
Well, hopefully.
Five bags of pop, people.
I saw some hands go up. But do you guys say yes? Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad.
3 people, brilliant. Okay, thanks, guys.
100%. Do it.
I have a number.
You've got a guy, yeah. Awesome.
I was going to do like a proper round table and have us in a round circle, but I think we've got too many people. So I'm thinking we'll stay where we are, and we'll just randomly go around. So my thinking with the round table is like, what is your bottleneck? What are you struggling with? And it'll just be an opportunity to ask questions to the group as a whole. I'm not saying I'm necessarily going to know your answer, but I bet you somebody in this room does. So we'll just do that and go round through there. We'll just have a quick 5 minutes and then we'll do that. That's all good?
Awesome. Thank you.